Hey buns, so yeah, first of all, obviously, I did change my hair. I got a cut and a color, but I am going to get more changes to my hair this upcoming week, so please look forward to it. However, that's not what I want to talk about here today. Today I want to talk about something I've been meaning to discuss for a little while now, since we are here in the craziest month I have ever had on YouTube, on my time playing Final Fantasy XIV. Things are popping off. I said it. Yep. So things are popping off, and there's a ton of new players coming in, and I want to set aside for the moment the new allegations against Activision Blizzard. I will talk about that more at the end of this video, but I want to talk about why I think this is, what's behind the exodus this time, and kind of just talk about my perspective as a Final Fantasy XIV creator on all of it. So obviously, when people are dissatisfied with something, they're going to look for an alternative, and that's the case right now with World of Warcraft. We have a ton of people coming to Final Fantasy XIV that were playing World of Warcraft. Now they may even be boycotting Activision Blizzard, and so a lot of eyes are on 14 for that reason, but for the past couple of weeks, obviously, Final Fantasy 14 had already been breaking its concurrent player count records on Steam. Here's an article from Forbes where it documents all of that. Like, Final Fantasy 14 had been breaking records day after day after day. I mean, this happened this month, and this was all happening around the time that Asmongold decided to come and start playing Final Fantasy 14, and he had over 200,000 people watching his stream at one point. He has, I think one of his VODs has like 2.8 million views on it. So yeah, that's a lot of eyes on Final Fantasy 14. And I think these eyes are watching and seeing that he was having fun. But he's not the only content creator from the WoW community that has had positive things to say about this game, or is clearly enjoying the game. Also, Jesse Cox played recently, put out a great video comparing the two games. And so that has been, you know, getting into the ether of the WoW community. And also Bellular has been very positive about Final Fantasy XIV as well lately. So I think that Final Fantasy XIV, it's more than just this alternative MMO that is, you know, people are talking about now. Final Fantasy XIV stands on its own 2 feet, because Final Fantasy XIV is a damn good game. That's what I've been trying to tell y'all the whole time I've had this YouTube channel. What do you think that's what I've been doing. That's why I made this channel. Like, a lot of the videos I've made on this channel have been about, you know, encouraging people to come and try the game, telling people how can you get your friend to keep playing the game, how can you have more fun playing the game, how do you understand the game. Like, this is what I'm here doing all the time. I'm out here shouting from the rooftops about how much I love this game. I actually made a video a little while back where I talked about how the Final Fantasy XIV community's bubble is bursting, and I want to talk a little bit more about the things that I discussed in that video. At the time, I think it was just when Asmongold had decided to start playing 14, and it really shook up the 14 community, I'll tell you that, because, I mean, we were a pretty small bubble before. Well, change has come. You know, lots and lots of new people with lots of different ideas have all come in, and this is shaking things up quite a bit, and not everybody likes that too much. There's some people that get very set in their ways, very comfortable with the way things are, and we're very threatened by the new wave of players coming into the game, and now I'm sure they feel even more threatened. But yeah, I got quite a bit of hate for that. Here's one of the, like, less offensive messages that I can show you here. This one I got like immediately after I posted the video. Someone said, well, I'm leaving this server. They're talking about my Discord server. Tell her to quit inviting the toxic community of WoW to FFXIV, for goodness sakes. And it's like, it's so weird to me when people say this kind of stuff, because it's like, do you realize how antagonistic you sound? Like, you are telling me that that community is toxic, and yet you're angry with me just because I've been inviting, just because I've said, welcome, come on in, like, the water is fine. I'm never going to apologize for that. I'm never going to stop doing that. And for all the new people coming in now, welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. I'm so happy you're here. I don't care if you don't fit into a particular mold of what people think that you should be, because the case is, when you've got lots and lots and lots of new people, everybody is going to have different opinions on things. People are going to have different perspectives on things. And I just don't know how you can get by in this world. I know I'm getting a little off track, but how you can get by being so intolerant of differing viewpoints. Shadowbringers has been a huge critical success, so we had already been seeing a lot of players comment as the word started to spread about how people were saying, actually, this has one of the best Final Fantasy stories ever written in this MMO. And, I've told people that in real life. I've spoken to people who don't play any MMOs ever, but liked Final Fantasy games, and I'm like, look, you gotta try. Yes, I'm doing this to people in real life as well. I'm like, yes, you've got to try Final Fantasy XIV. At least play through the story. At least go through the story. I remember that the writer for Shadowbringers was given a standing ovation at PAX West in Seattle. She was actually brought to tears because of that gesture, but it was well deserved. I mean, she got the standing ovation because of all these people that play through Shadowbringers, but they probably still had tears in their eyes from just playing the damn game. To have an expansion like that happening at a time when in the backdrop we have people in the World of Warcraft community more upset than ever before about the treatment of certain characters in their story, like Sylvanas has received a ton of criticism. It's been like a natural transition for a lot of people who are really caring about the story. Because of the massive numbers of people that have been joining the game in the past month, Naoki Yoshida had to write a giant essay explaining to the well, he didn't have to write a giant essay, okay. He found time to write this huge essay regarding the growing player population and plans to alleviate world congestion. This was crazy, like that he spent so much time on this, explaining to the player base exactly what they're gonna do to let the servers allocate more people logging in, because there's just so many people logging in, the servers can't even handle it. He explained, well, they need semiconductors to upgrade the servers, and here's how the way the server infrastructure works, and here's how the login caps works. And a lot of people were really touched by this. They were touched by his care and his transparency and making sure that players understand every little thing. In the end of his letter, he said, as producer, the responsibility for being unable to predict the current influx of new players falls to me. The days before an expansion's launch are supposed to be ones of excitement, but instead they brought many players grief, and for that, I personally am extremely sorry. Like, no one would blame him for not being able to predict the current influx of new players. He doesn't have a crystal ball. Well, maybe he does have a crystal ball, but Heidelin isn't really a ball, right? Heidelin definitely doesn't have, it doesn't matter. The point is that it was very touching, the way he showed his concern for the players and takes his responsibility of making sure everybody's really happy very seriously, and it was very endearing. And we have got to remember this man, he's working on 2 games right now. He's not just working on as director and producer for Final Fantasy XIV, but he's also working as a producer for Final Fantasy XV. And so for him to take so much time out of his day to write all this, I really appreciated. And I think this is another thing that, people from the WoW community who may be less satisfied with the sort of communication that they have with developers, they had seen this, and maybe this was another factor encouraging those people to come on over. But I want to make something really clear too, because I know probably up to this point it might sound like I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh, well, there's clearly winners and losers here. We got my game, which is awesome, and everything going great in it, and so all the players are coming to play my game. And then we have this other game, which sucks, and everything's going wrong in it, and that's why everyone's leaving that game and they're coming to my game. Instead, what I want to try to drive home here is that I believe that Final Fantasy XIV has a lot going for it, yes, and it's because of that Final Fantasy XIV doesn't need anything bad to be happening. It doesn't need some kind of cataclysm happening at another gaming studio to succeed. I don't celebrate it when bad things are happening at this other company or with this other game. I only wanted to explain to you some of the reasons why people might be looking over to Final Fantasy XIV and possibly seeing that as greener pastures. I really want to quote our director-producer Naoki Yoshida here, because I think that Yoshida and I have the exact same viewpoint on this whole situation. He said recently, this whole conversation about surpassing WoW is the wrong conversation to have, and it's honestly irritating. When the interviewer chimed in and told Yoshida that he was hoping he would have said, "We're the best," Yoshida said, "If I was that type of guy, we'd miss our footing on the way, and 14 wouldn't be loved by so many people." I thought this was a really interesting quote from Yoshida because it's like he's telling us, we know that one of the reasons people love Final Fantasy XIV is because we approach the game, we approach the community, and we approach people from other games with an attitude of compassion, with an attitude of love, rather than with pointing fingers and competitiveness and like, oh, it's us versus them, we're better than them. He knows that part of the soul of what Final Fantasy XIV is and what this community has become has been about kindness, has been about consideration of others. And I think that actually if you play through the story of Final Fantasy XIV time and time again, you're told these stories that are like that, stories where someone who was supposedly supposed to be your competition in the end usually might end up being friends. Hope is really a central theme of what Final Fantasy XIV is about, and that's what the game has been about for me as well. This is another quote that I want to share from Yoshida because it's like, he said what I feel too on this as a person that loved WoW for many years, and now, I now love Final Fantasy XIV. He said regarding this whole conversation about is Final Fantasy XIV winning because WoW is losing or any of that nonsense. He said, without World of Warcraft, A Realm Reborn would not exist. WoW was the game we constantly admired. Our goal was to create a version of Final Fantasy from WoW. So to say that we won or lost against WoW, it's out of place to start with because that was the game we aspired to be. He sees World of Warcraft the way that an artist might see another artist that they're inspired by. I mean, even if you're both selling art in the same museum, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to hate each other or you need to like look at every little problem in the other person's art or be glad if you notice a problem in their art. Like, it's not like that at all. I mean, at least I don't think it's like that. It's just like, oh, here's someone that inspired me and I respect them and they influenced me in my journey, in my creative journey, and I'm grateful for that, and I want to see them succeed too. I want to see more great work from them, and that's the way that I see World of Warcraft. I mean, I've said before, I also see World of Warcraft as like an old friend that I grew up with, and I still believe that, and I don't necessarily say anymore that I feel like Activision Blizzard is an old friend. I know that a lot of people are seeing Final Fantasy XIV right now as an avenue for them to still play an MMO while they are boycotting Activision Blizzard, and that boycott is completely justified. But I don't necessarily take joy in that. Nobody in my community is happy with the situation that's unfolding at Blizzard. We do not celebrate it when bad things are happening over there, especially things as bad as they are. And I think it's very foolish. It's very irresponsible to treat this like it's sports teams going at each other when there's real human lives like on the line. There are people at Blizzard whose livelihoods are being threatened. There are people who have endured so much harassment, so much abuse, people who have lost their jobs. All this stuff was going on. I don't know why anyone would try to paint that as a win for Final Fantasy XIV. It most certainly is not. So I kind of want to steer further away from that when I talk about how, obviously I'm happy that people are coming to Final Fantasy XIV, but I can't say that I'm happy for those reasons. There's no good take. There's no good way to look at that. So I guess you can tell that I have a little bit of mixed emotions about this. On the one hand, I'm delighted that we have so many new players coming to Final Fantasy XIV. On the other hand, I wish that a lot of it was happening under better circumstances. That I wish that a lot of people didn't have to leave WoW, didn't have to boycott Activision Blizzard, because I wish none of that stuff ever happened, but unfortunately it is what it is, and we are here, and we've got to face the reality, and I just can only hope that they have a massive restructuring at Activision Blizzard. They show accountability by firing people that have been involved in all this stuff, and the workers start to be treated really well, paid well, cared for, I really want to see all that. I want to see World of Warcraft succeed because that's the game that was there for me before Final Fantasy XIV. That was my first love, and I will always be cheering it on. What do you think about this whole discussion about has Final Fantasy XIV won some kind of contest or competition against World of Warcraft. What do you think about so many new players coming to 14? It's actually, I mean, it's exciting. Are you one of them? You might be. Are you considering playing Policy 14? If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Light. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.